can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blur Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about Dark Web X-Men #2 by Jerry Duggan, Rod Race, and Phil Noto, as well as a little bit about Venom #14 by Al Ewing and Brian Hitch. This issue, Madeline is trying to get her hooks into the secret memories of Jean Grey, trying to learn exactly what it was Jean Grey felt the first time she ever held Nathan Summers, aka Cable, who, for those who don't know, is the son of Madelyne Pryor and Cyclops. A lot of times people tend to get it twisted that Jean Grey is actually the mother of Cable alongside Cyclops. It's actually not true. When Cable was born, it was when Scott and Madelyne Pryor were together. Now, technically, yes, she is kind of Cable's mom, not just in terms of how Cable may view her or through any kind of legality. It's mostly due to genetics, since Madelyne Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey, but Madeline was the one who was impregnated with Cable and carried him to term and gave birth to him in the kitchen of the Xavier Westchester mansion. Now, the reason why she's trying to take Jean's memory, it's hard to say, because part of me wonders if it has something to do with her wanting to try and just get those memories back. I don't think it should matter, because she does have those memories, but for whatever reason, they're slipping away from her. She's constantly having nightmares about Nathan and losing him being taken away from her. I kind of feel like maybe it's her just trying to figure out if there's any malice on Jean's part, trying to be Cable's mother in her absence. At least that's what I want to believe. But she also wants these memories unlocked to give them to herself. As I said before, she's constantly having these nightmares about losing Cable, a child she gave birth to but was taken from her, and that child was literally her only purpose for existing. Not because it was how she chose it to be, but because that's the only purpose Mr. Sinister had created her for, to be the clone of one of the most powerful mutants in existence and bear the child of Sinister's favorite mutant. No more, no less. And once she did that, she was useless to Sinister. She was meant to breed and do nothing more. It's not hard to see why she's so upset about how she was treated, even worse, that she was neglected by Cyclops and had to use her powers to manipulate the outcome of the battle between Cyclops and Storm for leadership of the X-Men back in Uncanny X-Men #201, just to get him to stay home. He was constantly going out on missions just to be away from her. And that's not even counting the secretive disappearances he had with, and at the time, recently returned Jean Grey that he tried to hide from Madeline. There's a lot to unpack in this issue, with Maddie's motives, and even how Havok views himself as an X-Man, and more or less how unworthy he feels at being one and why he doesn't want to be one. At least not anymore. Even Havok's admission that he wants to leave the team, something Cyclops initially thought was Havok trying to play Maddie, was actually true. He doesn't want to be there anymore. It's even hinted maybe he could have a team of his own coming one day. One that's more meant for misfit mutants like himself who don't have a place in the world. Something that actually seems to catch Madeline's eye, even if it's only for a moment. And as you'd imagine, Maddie's schemes in this issue don't work out. Trying to psychically manipulate an Omega-level telepath is never going to go well in the end, and it doesn't here either. While she's able to psychically manipulate Jean into thinking both herself and Illyana Rasputin are kids again prior to them having their mutant powers, she thinks she can trick Jean into unlocking her Cerebro backup and giving Madeline exactly what she wants. But Cyclops is actually able to reach Jean through his thoughts, something that is only possible due to Jean always having had glimpses of her powers before they actually fully manifested, which is what allowed her to hear Scott trying to warn her that something was wrong. Under normal circumstances, most mutants don't manifest their powers until puberty, so if Jean were any other mutant, or any other average mutant for that matter, this plan might have actually worked. But because Jean is an Omega level telepath who always had access to her powers, even if on an involuntary level before they fully manifested, that's the only reason why this actually worked. Some people will probably think, oh no, this shouldn't have happened. Actually, it can. Even though she couldn't technically control her powers, Scott was acting actively thinking of her, trying to reach out to her, which is why this ended up working. The next issue, being called Redhead Redemption, is both funny and appropriate because I feel like this is where Maddie is actually finally going to get the redemption that she does deserve. There's really nothing to redeem Jean over. She really is in no need of redemption. She has done everything humanly possible to redeem herself of the millions of deaths that she caused during the Dark Phoenix saga. We've seen this as of late, even though Judgment Day tried to sweep some of this under the rug. But I feel like this next issue is where Maddie is going to finally realize it's not her place to be the hero or the villain, but to just be herself. I don't think she'll turn good guy the way Emma Frost did, but I think she'll become something closer to it, maybe even becoming to Havok what Emma Frost became to Cyclops, a galvanizing force that brings out the best qualities in them that they never knew they had before. Now, whether Havok and Maddie will work out in the end is another story, but it does seem like there is some hope there. And I feel like two characters who are as equally mentally and emotionally broken as both Madelyne Pryor and Havok, I feel like both of those characters, they both deserve a win. And who knows, Maddie wouldn't be a bad ally to have, especially with Sins of Sinister on the horizon. All that aside, since we're talking about X-Men related things, I do want to take a moment to point out just how awesome it is in Venom number 14 for Synch to get that much more respect put on him in this issue, with Al Ewing referring to him as the most powerful member of the team currently, even though that's technically a title that's been recently passed around for Jean Grey in Dark Web X-Men number 2. But the fact that Synch proves once again he can sync his X gene with not just mutants, but with any superhuman capability that he is near. Not just superhuman or metahuman powers, but even the abilities of an alien creature. He's able to perfectly mimic the powers of Eddie's Venom symbiote, or rather his King in Black symbiote, even recognizing that that symbiote has the ability to control other symbiotes, and Synch uses it to defeat Eddie in this issue. Now, granted, once again, this is an Eddie Brock who is not at his full faculties. He probably would have put up a much better fight against Synch if, the tables weren't so turned against him on this one. But I like the fact that Synch is, once again, just getting that genuine respect put on his name. He puts Venom on his ass in this issue, and it's once again proof positive why Synch is the Master of Mutation. And ultimately, I also think Synch is the one who is instrumental in setting Eddie up to have this reunion with his son Dylan in the upcoming Venom number 15, where right now Eddie, becoming less sure of himself in the wake of encountering Synch, and Synch posing a lot of questions to him and basically kind of putting him on the back foot, this is what ultimately leads to Eddie becoming Bedlam in this issue. The next logical step in progression for him to become Meridius, which is the final form of Eddie Brock in the Marvel Comics universe, and right now Meridius is Venom's major big bad under Al Ewing and Ram V's story arc that's running currently. So that just also kind of speaks to Synch's level of power. He was able to trigger that transformation. It also kind of sucks because now Synch is the reason why Eddie is out here running around as a whole psychopathic red symbiote now. But that's neither here nor there. That's more Eddie's problem. It was going to happen regardless, but I do find it interesting that Synch was actually able to put pause on Venom like this and was able to control the symbiote in ways I don't even think Eddie realized he could control. Once again, this isn't news. This is something we have talked about a lot with the character Synch. I've often said that Synch has the ability to use other people's powers at their maximum potential. One of my most famous examples is from Generation X, when Synch used fellow Generation X member Chamber's powers, and that was when Chamber realized he could use his powers to fly, something Synch was able to do with Chamber's abilities. And Chamber had no clue. All that aside, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I just hope that they are going to take care of Madelyne Pryor in this, because I don't know, I just feel like over the years, while I've never been like just the absolute ultimate Madelyne Pryor stan, I've always been a fan of the character. And as time has passed, I just feel like I've grown even more attached to this character and very invested in her rehabilitation, considering how many other X-Men characters, former X-villains, have been given multiple chances, more than enough chances to try and get right. I feel like it's Madelyne's time to shine in that regard. So I'm hoping that, this next issue with Dark Web X-Men number 3, I hope they do right by Madelyne Pryor. But if you want to keep up with my coverage of all things X-Men related, as well as all my other favorite Marvel and DC comics, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that way you don't miss anything. And on your way out, make sure to Hulk smash that like button and share this video all over the internet so we can increase Earth's mightiest subscribers beyond Plus Ultra. In the meantime, let me know what you thought about Dark Web X-Men number 2 and Venom number 14. Keep it Plus Ultra and sound off in the comments.